he tore apart the newly renovated kitchen with a crowbar, screaming in anguish that he had endured everything for his family, only to be left feeling betrayed. Just then, his younger brother walked in and embraced him, but he responded by pulling a gun and aiming it at his brother's head. The film begins at a U.S. Marine Corps training camp on October 7, 2007, just 4 days before Captain Sam Cahill is deployed to Afghanistan. In a quiet moment, he writes an emotional farewell letter to his wife, Grace, to be delivered only if he doesn't return. Entrusting the letter to a commanding officer, Sam hopes it will never be needed. During a short leave, he is portrayed as a loving husband and father, cherishing time with his devoted wife and their 2 young daughters, Maggie and Isabel. In stark contrast to his upstanding older brother, Sam, Tommy Cahill, has just been released from prison after serving time for bank robbery. Sam picks him up, and they drive back to their hometown together. That evening, their home is filled with warmth as Grace prepares a welcome dinner for Tommy. When he arrives, he's greeted by the younger daughter, who quickly runs to her mother, whispering that she doesn't like her uncle. Despite the tension, the family eventually gathers around the dinner table, marking both Tommy's return and Sam's impending deployment to Afghanistan. Their father, Hank, begins to lose his temper with Tommy, condemning his criminal past and drawing comparisons to Sam, who is serving the country with honor. The ongoing tension builds until it erupts into an argument, and Hank storms out of the house in anger. Before Sam departs, Tommy tells him to be careful. That night, Sam takes off his wedding ring, and Grace threads it onto a necklace to keep him close, whispering words of love. 5 days later, Sam and his team are traveling through the Afghan desert. He captures moments on his phone, remarking that the place oddly feels like home. But the device is quickly lost when their helicopter is shot down and crashes. Meanwhile, back home, Grace is taking a bath when the doorbell rings. Her older daughter opens the door and finds 2 soldiers standing outside, delivering the heartbreaking news of Sam's death. Grace struggles to cope with the loss of her husband. She replays old videos of Sam over and over, leaving desperate voicemails on his phone. That night, a drunk Tommy comes by to return the car and is caught off guard by Grace's grief, which erupts into anger over a broken headlight. In tears, she finally tells him the devastating news about Sam. Having been unreachable all day, Tommy is the last to find out, and he breaks down, shouting that Sam should never have gone to Afghanistan. Tommy returns to his parents' house and sits alone on the porch. His stepmother steps outside to invite him in, but he declines, saying he needs time alone. Meanwhile, Grace prepares the girls for the funeral, but both daughters refuse to wear black dresses. During the service, Grace receives the heartfelt goodbye letter Sam had written before deployment. Later, Hank gets drunk, and Tommy is forced to wrestle the car keys from him to prevent his father from driving in a dangerous condition. Hank continues to criticize Tommy and compare him to Sam, but this time, Tommy finally stands his ground. He confronts his father for failing as both a husband and a parent, and for imposing strict military values on Sam. After the argument, Hank silently walks back home. Meanwhile, Grace, consumed by grief, finds herself unable to open Sam's farewell letter and quietly sets it aside. The story shifts back to Afghanistan, where the Taliban are leading 2 soldiers, Sam and Private Joe, who somehow survived the helicopter crash. Both men are now prisoners, confined to a dark underground cell. Sam quietly urges Joe to stay completely silent around the Taliban if they want to survive. Meanwhile, back home, Tommy slips back into drinking. At 3 a.m., drunk and desperate, he calls Grace for help. He's $47 short to pay a bartender who's threatening to report him for breaking parole. With no other choice, Grace rescues her troubled brother-in-law in the middle of the night and brings him home. Tommy wakes to sounds coming from the kitchen. The 2 girls are trying to make pancakes to cheer up their mother, who's still grieving Sam's death. When Tommy tells them to stop, Maggie resists, prompting him to rise from his chair. Hank arrives unexpectedly and apologizes for his behavior the previous night. During their talk, Tommy confesses that Sam was always the smarter one, but Hank explains that intelligence wasn't the issue. The real problem is that Tommy always gives up, unlike his brother. In Afghanistan, Sam peers through a narrow gap between wooden planks in the Taliban camp, closely watching his surroundings. When he spots a helicopter flying overhead, he believes a rescue mission is underway and begins banging rocks against the planks, desperately trying to signal for help. Just as Sam attempts to send a distress signal, he's held at gunpoint, and the Taliban place a heavy rock over the wooden planks to block his view. Meanwhile, Tommy recalls his father's comment about Grace's outdated kitchen and impulsively decides to renovate it with his friends without informing anyone beforehand. 2 months pass in captivity. Sam fights to stay mentally strong, while Joe, the soldier captured with him, starts to unravel, blaming Sam for saving his life. Joe believes this kind of existence is worse than death. Despite everything, Sam remains resolute, refusing to reveal his identity or rank. When he hears the Taliban arguing, he quietly reminds both himself and Joe not to disclose any information. Eventually, it becomes clear the Taliban have made a decision. The 2 American soldiers are loaded into a vehicle and moved to another location. Before relocating the prisoners, the Taliban bring out an Afghan man and force him to kneel. He had used a satellite phone to call his pregnant wife, accidentally revealing their location. He is executed on the spot. The Taliban leader then declares that this is their country and orders Sam to deliver that message to America or face the consequences of doing it himself. While Grace continues to mourn her husband, the kitchen renovation moves forward. Tommy and his friends even involve the 2 daughters, and together they share memories of Sam as a gifted athlete. During the project, Maggie accidentally spills paint on a bearded man, prompting him to change clothes. Grace enters Sam's closet to find something for him to wear, but seeing the familiar keepsakes overwhelms her. She breaks down, clutching them in tears. Owen, the man receiving the clothes, is left confused, unsure why he's being given so much or if he should return anything. Grace quietly retreats into her sorrow. Sam is bound to a post beneath the open sky, drenched in water, and forced to witness Joe being tortured with a hot iron. Unable to withstand the agony, Joe breaks down on camera, stating that Americans don't belong there, sending love to his wife and kids, and inadvertently revealing that Sam has 2 daughters. Meanwhile, Grace returns home and is surprised to find the kitchen completely renovated just in time for her birthday. Everyone dear to her gathers to celebrate, but the one person who means the most is still missing. Winter sets in. During a walk, Isabel confides in Tommy, saying everyone seems to love Maggie more because she's cute. To comfort her, Tommy recalls a memory of how Sam once saved him from drowning in that very same river. They visit the ice rink, where Grace is taken aback by how naturally Tommy connects with children. One day, Tommy seeks out the bank employee he once threatened during the robbery, hoping to ask for forgiveness. They talk for an hour. The woman reveals that for the past 3 years, she's lived in fear and battled insomnia, always worried the robber might return. Tommy shares the experience with Grace, and she feels proud of the progress he's made. That night, they reminisce about their school days. Grace admits she never liked Tommy back then because he was always drunk and getting into fights. As old memories resurface and their eyes lock, a wave of emotion builds, leading to a passionate kiss between them. Grace feels overwhelmed and steps outside for some fresh air, while Tommy, unable to hold back his tears, quietly leaves. Though much time has passed, Grace still hasn't opened Sam's letter. She gently places it back in the drawer. Meanwhile, Sam and Private Joe remain captives, enduring relentless torture by the Taliban. One day, Sam is handed a metal pipe and ordered to kill Joe, who had revealed information and was now considered a liability. At first, Sam refuses, but when a gun is aimed at him and the Taliban threaten his family, he's left with no choice. Amid screams echoing through the camp, Sam bludgeons Joe to death with the pipe, and the execution is captured on camera. Tommy arrives at Grace's house, saying he's there to install a decorative panel, leaving her slightly uneasy after the events of the previous night. He expresses happiness at seeing the girls, and Grace responds with warmth. When Hank shows up, he's taken aback by his son's craftsmanship. Meanwhile, the Taliban camp comes under attack by U.S. forces. One of the leaders tries to kill Sam but fails and is shot, tumbling into a ravine. The chaos and explosions are caught on camera. In the end, Sam is rescued and collapses in exhaustion among his fellow soldiers. At home, Tommy is playing with the girls in the yard when the phone rings. Grace answers and is shocked to hear that her husband is alive. Later, the whole family gathers at the airport to welcome Sam home. Tommy smiles, though a quiet sadness lingers beneath the surface. The two girls excitedly show Sam the new kitchen, proudly saying Uncle Tommy and his friends fixed it for their mom. That night, Sam lies in bed holding his wife and daughters close in a tender moment of reunion. Grace embraces Sam in the bathroom, gently kissing the scars on his body, but Sam remains cold and distant, quietly suggesting she should walk away. It's clear that his time in captivity has profoundly changed him. Tommy reads the news about the death of Private Joe, the soldier Sam was forced to kill. Hank notices a shift in Sam's behavior and reflects on how he too became distant from his son after returning from the Vietnam War. At the ice rink, Sam watches Grace and the girls enjoying their time with Tommy. He thanks Tommy for looking after the family and admits he never truly understood how strong Grace was. Then, unexpectedly, he directly asks if Tommy slept with Grace. Believing he had died, Sam thinks it's possible and appears unwilling to accept any denial. Tommy and Grace seem like two teenagers falling in love. Private Joe's family visits Sam's home, and from afar, Joe's young son is seen crawling along the sidewalk. The widow often dreams of her husband and of Sam, whom she quietly resents for surviving while Joe did not. When she later comes seeking closure,
Sam,
Hi.
did you see him die?
No.
Did you hear anything? I mean, was he on his own? He was brave. I know that.
she asks Sam if he saw her husband die. Sam lies and says he doesn't know anything. One night, Sam suffers a panic attack. He grabs his handgun, paces through the house, and arranges glasses to regain a sense of control. The next day, he visits the military base and asks to return to active duty. When questioned about his family, Sam quietly replies that he can't stay because they don't understand him. No one does. Despite his inner struggles, Sam attempts to have dinner with the family. But when the children begin playfully joking, he suddenly snaps, insisting their stories aren't funny. Grace tries to defuse the tension, but Sam gets up and walks away. Isabel then asks when Uncle Tommy will return, clearly sensing her father's emotional instability. Grace urges Sam to open up about his experience in Afghanistan, but he grows increasingly obsessed with the idea of her relationship with Tommy. Although Grace insists nothing happened, Sam refuses to believe it and remains convinced they were intimate. Saying nothing more, he abruptly leaves the house and visits Private Joe's grave. That night, Sam returns home while the children play in the yard. Isabel instinctively steps back in fear, but Sam gently pulls both daughters into an embrace, offering comfort. The older girl struggles to hold back tears. Sam later confides in Grace that he spent the night reflecting on their family and came to realize how lucky he is to be alive. They hold each other quietly in the stillness. That day also happens to be Maggie's birthday. The entire family gathers at Hank's house, waiting for Tommy. He arrives, but not alone. He brings Tina, a girl he met less than an hour earlier. Trying to lighten the mood, he's blindsided when Tina begins rambling and pretending to know about the military. Despite Tommy's efforts to shut her down, she keeps talking. Sam grows visibly tense, and the kids start getting loud. Sam keeps scolding Isabel, which pushes her to admit her jealousy, saying her younger sister always gets more love and attention. In a bid for acknowledgement, Isabel repeatedly squeezes a balloon until Sam, losing patience, angrily pops it. Feeling hurt, Isabel lashes out, yelling that their mom wants to be with Uncle Tommy, instead of Sam plunging the entire room into heavy silence. On the way home, the family rides in silence. Before bed, Isabel apologizes to her mother, admitting she was wrong for saying she didn't like her dad and wishing Uncle Tommy could replace him. Maggie quietly agrees. Sam sits alone in the living room and asks Grace if the girls said their prayers before going to sleep. Suddenly, Sam jumps up and begins wrecking the new kitchen with a crowbar, screaming in agony that he survived for his family, yet now feels betrayed. He can't grasp how Grace could be involved with his own brother. Though he still loves her and the kids, the guilt over what he did to survive has shattered him. In a burst of rage, Sam strikes himself in the head, then continues tearing the kitchen apart. Just then, Tommy enters and embraces him, but Sam pulls a gun and aims it at his brother's head. Police sirens blare outside as officers arrive. Sam steps out, gun in hand. the police order him to drop it. Sam shouts, demanding to know why they've come. When they call him a war hero, he breaks down, crying out that they have no idea what he had to do. He presses the gun to his temple, overwhelmed by despair. Tommy and Grace rush to him, desperately trying to prevent a tragedy. In the end, Sam drops the gun and is taken into custody. In the days that follow, Grace comforts the girls by sleeping beside them to help them feel safe. She finally opens Sam's letter, a heartfelt farewell filled with love for her and their 2 daughters. His words move her to tears. Later, Sam calls Tommy from the Veterans Psychiatric Facility to apologize and begin repairing their relationship. Tommy chooses to stay by his side. Grace and the girls visit Sam at the treatment center,
I've loved you since I was 16 years old.
and that if he can't open up about what happened, she won't be able to stay.
Sam, tell me what happened.
Moved by her words, Sam finally chooses to tell the truth. With tears streaming down his face, he confesses that he killed Joe Willis.
I killed him.
Grace holds him tightly after the confession. But deep down, Sam still wonders if he'll ever be able to live a normal life again.